Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
I have my friend Kendall with me. We're outside up north.
Have
Nice.
fun.
Welcome, Kendall. Outside up north.
Outside.
Yep.
All
Sorry.
right. Hi, kids. I'm going to mute.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. Let's do it.
hello. Sunday, Monday, or we're starting early today. Wow, what a concept. Nice. Good morning to everybody. To get started today, we're going to come to the center parts of our mat and separate our feet with the heels coming to the edge of the mat and toes angling towards the center line thereof. I'd like you to bring some straightness to the legs and begin to hollow up by pulling in the belly. And as you do so, I want you to do two things simultaneously. Pull in and elongate the spine. Let's draw the shoulders up, open the palms to face forward, separate your fingers widely, and draw your elbows backwards. Now remember, we're just warming up the body. We got a lot of hard work ahead, potentially. And as we do that, we just provide some governance over what's happening with our body today. So we push when we can, and if we need to back off, we have permission from ourselves to do that. Let's begin now to extend arms forward. Keep the baby fingers connected and the forearms separated. As you extend the arms out, try to remove any bend in the elbow and then rotate the fingertips downward so the palms kind of face forward. And then take your thumbs and begin to spiral them downward also. On your next breath, draw in, hands over heart, pull your butt back, keep your legs straight. And as you start to descend, come down to tabletop position. As you inhale, raise up. And as you exhale, lower down. Now, explore the range of motion. As you vascularize the muscles, the blood flow into them allows a little more. So try to see if you can get a little more depth with each subsequent repetition. As we move up and down now, I'd like you to exert a little pressure, palm to palm. Of course, fingers are still separated. We're going to take our thumbs and put them into the chest plate. And when we rise up, we're going to rotate the fingertips in and raise the elbows and then lower back down. So we're kind of pivoting, fingertips in and thumb tips on the way down. As we raise up this time, hold up, fingertips rotated in, elbows high, push the palms together. Now give me a nice proud chest. Drive your heels into the earth and then try to create an external rotation of them. So we're driving them off the center line of the mat as we raise elbows, elongate the spine, proud of the chest. Fill those lungs with air, and then shoot those hands up to the sky and separate them shoulder width. Arms are straight, big inhale, powerful exhale, fold it down, and hold for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to do this for the remainder of class. Hope you enjoy it. Now, as you inhale, extend to a flat back. As you exhale, fold back down, and continue on this pattern of movement. As you do so, be mindful of how the weight bearing feels in your feet. If you have a heavy pressurization to the toe box, I'd like you to drift your hips backwards and give me more pronounced weighting to the heel of each foot. All right, now on the next inhale, keep the back in extension and give me a little bit of extra push of the knees backwards. And as you release this next breath, Pilates style come up. That means basically we're stacking vertebrae upon vertebrae, raising up the body, and then coming back to where we started, pulling those elbows back, palms facing forward, fingers separated nice and widely. Another big breath in, and as you exhale, let's bring those arms forward. This time, let's close the palms and bring forearms together. Let's push forward and then open the palms. So we're spiraling those thumbs earthward again. Try to take any bend out of the elbow. And on your next breath, as you release it, bring hands over heart and come halfway down, forward fold. Holding on this now. Now, much like we did when we were standing, I'd like you to proud out your chest, separate the fingers once again, tuck them, and then rotate the fingertips in towards the chest plate. and then sweep your elbows forward, keeping that chest nice and proud. Palms are pushing together. Inhale, unhinge the body, and push the hands back skyward, saluting the sun. Good morning. Drawing now the fingers high to the sky. Let everything just shift upwards. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, fold it all the way down. Walk your hands out and step your feet back into plank. I'm going to hold on this for a couple seconds. Now, as we raise and lower the torso, I'd like you to keep the elbows rotating internally without locking or stacking the joints. Actively create that inward rotation of the elbows and let the chest or torso descend between the arms, and then push back up, and then do that for a couple more repetitions. You can have your knees down for this if it's needed. It's an option. And then let's hold it in the up position. And then if you're not presently there, let both knees descend to the earth and separate them to the edges of the mat. And please do the same with your feet and with your hands. So in this wide stance, quadruped or four-posted position, I'd like you to once again take your elbows and spiral them inwardly. Draw that spine long, and imagine now you've tied a string on the tippy top of your head, and you're going to pull the neck long. And as you do that, I also like you to imagine you have a string on the back of your head. As one pulls forward, the other pulls directly skyward. As we keep that nice activation through the neck, I'd like you to once again oscillate up and down with the torso in between the arms. You might be able to explore a little more range on the upward push. I'd like you to get as much as you can get right now, remembering we're still warming. And we're going to hold up. And then make sure you've got your toes tucked under, and you're going to float the knees just an inch or two off the earth, and then gently lower them back down. So as we begin to activate our core subsystem, so those big muscles that kind of keep us nice and active, and you kind of probably feel it a little bit as soon as the knees raise up off your mats. And those stabilization muscles really help to secure the lower back. And it's kind of good just to practice this, even if you're not doing class, just to kind of keep those muscles active. Now, hold up. Drive your heels to the earth as you pull your hips up and back to down dog. As your heels drive earthward, pull your tailbone high to the sky. Use your arms to push away from your mat and drive the heels a little closer to the mat. If they're not presently upon them, you're just trying to get there, and that's just fine if you don't get there. On your next breath, bend both knees and return them back to the earth or your mat, whatever your preferred state is. Well, hello, Lily. Yeah, I know you're trying to steal the show. You're just so obvious. All right, now, cat and cow. So we're going to basically imagine the string tied to the center part of the back. As we arch the back, I'd like you to take your pubis and kind of tuck it under, like you're kind of pulling it forward and rounding it up and in towards the belly button. Get that nice arching through the back. We're going to hold that as we drift your hips backwards towards your heels. For a nice release and stretch. And we're going to drift it back forward. So we have weight posted equally to all 4 points of our stance. And we're going to flex the spine, let the head drop down, and use that pelvic tilting, pubis pulling up and into the belly button. And then reversing so that our back of head and tailbone now pull up to the sky. And then coming back to a neutral spine, floating the knees, pulling the hips high to the sky, driving the heels to the earth, and walking the hands back towards the feet. Now, when you arrive weight bearing in the feet, I like to make sure you have them separated to the edges of the mat and turn your toes so they overlap or extend off the mat. Bring some straightness to the legs and to the spinal column as you inhale. As you exhale, let the upper body fold. And as you inhale, bring it to extension. Step each palm onto the thighs of its respective side. Push the palms in and extend the spine as we keep the back in tabletop. Imagine that two-string system on the head, pulling forward, pulling skyward. Now, take your elbows, sweep them in towards the center line, round out the chest, and as you inhale, keep the integrity of that torso rigid as you come back up to standing. Nice. Now sweep the hands to the sky. Big inhale. Powerful exhale. Hands descend over hearts. And as we begin to find a little more work experience, we're going to drop down into a sumo-like type of squat. And we're just going to oscillate up and down. Try to keep the knees tracking in the line of your toes, so we're not buckling in or splaying out. And find some range of motion, more so in the depth of your descent. Try to keep the spine braced. We kind of practiced that a little earlier, when we were lifting the knees up and we got those core subsystem muscles. If you felt what that felt like, try to engage those muscles as you descend and as you rise. Push the palms into each other. Basically extend up this time, separate the fingers, rotate the fingertips in, keep the elbows high, take it back down. Slowly up, slowly down. Remember, this is not a race. First person done loses in this instance here. Tortoise and hare kind of thing. Holding down this time. See if you can sink a little lower and a little lower. Try to go to new lows today. There's that old joke again. Okay, raise it back up. Step the toes straight forward. Let the hands continue to push in as your elbows drop. And now shoot those hands up. Salute the sun as you separate arms about shoulder width apart. Fill those lungs with air. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, relax the arms. Let's take that right foot, step it forward. Back foot now, separation of feet. If we're on a rope or tightrope, I like you to kind of separate so the feet are about hip width apart, and then front to back. Give me something that's comfortable where you can have your heel of the back foot up off the earth. Bring some straightness to that back leg. So there's little or no bend in that knee. And very important, making sure we haven't pushed the knee too far forward to the toe box. Take the ball of that big toe, front foot, push it into the mat. And then chopping through the hips without flexing through the spine. I'd like you to lean in a little bit. And as you start to feel that package on the back side of your body engaging, we're going to hold on this for a couple of breaths. Now, adding or intensifying work. It's as simple as extending the arms forward. We're moving weight forward. There's more weight bearing, more muscle activation. If you felt it, good. Now, while we hold the arms here, I'd like you to separate the fingers widely. And then we're going to try to raise the arms a little higher. As you raise, do two things. Arms raised, chest becomes proud. Hold the arms high. Now, as you exhale, let the arms descend. Open the palms as you sweep them backwards. Hold on this for a couple breaths. Little burning. If you need to take a break, see if you can hold on, but take it if you need it, right? Now, arms sweep forward. We begin to intensify that load into those muscles that you felt working earlier. Raising a little higher if you can. Imagine the fingers pull everything forward. Big breath in. Exhale. Slowly sweep back. Open palms. Bring them all the way back. Come forward slowly. Trying to achieve a higher elevation with the arms. Keep that chest nice and proud. And then sweep back. One more repetition, then we're getting off this leg. Sweep it back up. Hold up the hands. Step the back foot forward. Bring hands over heart and set up the opposite side. Remember, separate wide, hips in terms of width, and whatever makes you stable. Heel Didn't talk about this before, but try to get it aiming straight up. So it's not inwardly or externally rotated, aiming to the sky. Threw myself off balance there. The front leg's relatively straight. Chest is proud. Back is engaged. We're not kind of flexing as we lean into this. We're chopping on that left hip. Now, as we hold on this for a couple breaths, get your balance. Take the ball of that left big toe, put it into the ground, push it. Extend the arms forward as we intensify. Keep the spine, the integrity of it. We're not compromising at all today, right? Now, raise, lower, open, sweep back. We did this before. It's the same movement pattern. Just execute it slowly for a few more repetitions. Try to make it like a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, or your count, whatever your slow count is. All right. On the next repetition, we're going to hold up, raise a little higher, then sweep down and back. Keep that chest proud. Same thing, up a little higher, sweep down and back. And last time, hold up, step the back foot forward, let those hands drop on over heart. Fill the lungs with air, push the hands to the sky. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fold, take it all the way down to the mat. Let's go meet our friend, Matt. Oh, someone laughed. Nice. Cheers to everybody. I'm going to grab a little water. When we arrive upon the mat, I'd like you to bring your feet, or your heels, I'm sorry, to the corners of the mat. Now, if you're exhibiting your normal postural behavior as you're working at your desk, we're going to change that. I'd like you to take your pelvic girdle and try to roll up onto the sit bone. So the pubis is kind of like rolling down onto the mat. As we do so, I'd like you to engage and lengthen the spinal column. We're going to practice what we practiced earlier. This time, I'd like you to take your fingertips or tip, whatever. You're not going to get all of them on the mat, but just so they have a touch with the fingers separated widely. And then we're going to draw the elbows backwards, kind of sliding that touch along the mat backwards. And then if you've got compression or tension forming in the neck, relax it. Grow the spinal column nice and long. Now, let's take your elbows, squeeze them into the center line. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, let's take the tips off and extend the arms all the way out to the side. So the palms are facing sky. Oh. Nice. Now, while we hold on this, I'd like you to use your fingers to pull away from the center line, shoulders, everything right into that chest plate. Just give it a nice opening as best you can. Our thumbs are angled backwards. I'd like you to use those thumbs to pull the arms back. And as you do, proud out the chest and keep that neck tension free. Big inhale, hands sweep to the sky. Exhale, fold down.
Take a couple breaths. We now have spinal flexion going on. Enjoy this. This is kind of like the low back release up and into your lats and the muscles of the upper back. Take another breath or two. And when you're ready, bring some straightness back to the spinal column. Walk those hands back in. Let's place them on our thighs. Now, give me a nice proud chest and nice long spine. As we hold on this for a couple seconds, it's simply to kind of get a little bit of blood flow into our hip flexors. And once we've got that, Pilates style, we're going to take it down. So the pelvic girdle kind of tucks under and vertebrae by vertebrae. Now you can assist us with arms, either touching the ground, extending forward, or you can bring a little more intensity to the movement by keeping them over chest. Slowly you lower down. Now that movement down is opening those hip flexors of yours. And we're using tension because there's muscle load as we lower down. So we're going to do this a couple more times. We're gonna bring contraction to the muscle as Pilates style, we come up. And then shoot the arms forward. I'm gonna demonstrate one way, Kirsten's demonstrating another. So as we come down, I want to ask you to drop your chin into your chest and keep it there with lots of arch in the back, arms reaching forward, vertebrae by vertebrae, print or imprint each one as best you can, all the way down, and then let the arms sweep all the way back for a nice full body stretch. Fingers pull one direction, toes pull the opposite. Make that body of yours nice and long. Look, I think I grew a couple inches. Now, arms sweep back up over chest. Chin drops into chest, and we peel vertebrae by vertebrae. Bring it all the way back up. This is engaging the hip flexors. We're keeping the spine in flexion, so we have that elongation through this whole spinal column. And as you inhale, extend to a flat back. Keep the fingertips forward. And then we're going to step the hands over top of the feet. So we have the tips or fingers kind of on the soft part of your foot, the arch, if you will, with the base of the palm kind of on the toes. I'd like you to use that base to kind of pull the toes and find a nice little stretch through the bottom part of your foot. We're going to take it out to the lower leg by simply pulling the arms backwards. So we're bringing a lot more flexion through the foot. You might feel it up in the back of the knee. Enjoy this for a couple seconds. Now, proud out the chest. See how it intensifies the stretch? Keep the chest proud, pull the shoulders backwards. A little bit of lat activation, get some vascularization or blood flow into those muscles. And when you're ready, release and come back into our staff pose. Hands are going to come down to the earth. We're going to take the fingers and open them out to the sides. And we're going to bring some straightness to the elbows. And as we do so, I'd like you to proud out the chest. And then we're going to continue to walk the hands backwards. So this exterior rotation through the shoulders is a good chest opener and helps to kind of create a little bit of activation in those upper back muscles that help to stabilize your shoulder blades. And you know what I'm talking about, right? Because when you sit, everything kind of shifts forward and we rotate internally. So this is the corrective type of work right now. External rotation, blah, blah, blah. As we hold on this, those muscles may begin to fatigue. They may start to burn a little bit. That's fine. That just means that they're working and getting a little bit stronger. All right, now when you're ready, hands come back over heart. Let the chin drop in the chest and Pilates style, imprint by imprint, lower down all the way. And take your right leg. Bend through the knee and then wrap around the kneecap your hands and begin to pull it in towards the chest. As you do so, I'd like you to create an extension with the heel of that left foot driving out and extending that leg nice and straight. If it's possible, try to give a little bit of inertia or downward push of the back of that left leg as you pull the right leg in. And as you release your next breath, switch up the legs. Same setup, opposite side. Initiate a little bit of a push of that right leg into the back of the leg into the mats. Give me a little bit of extra pull on that left knee. And then switch up side. We're going to progress this a little bit. So the progression is we're going to start with the knee. We're going to pull it in. We're going to keep the flexion of that hip as best we can. As we now release the knee, grab the hamstrings, try to keep the thigh in relatively the same position as you extend the bottom leg, as you take the bend out of the knee. Let's make sure your chest is nice and proud, and let's make sure your neck is relaxed. There's no tension there, right? All right. Now, Let's bend back for the knee, lower this leg down, switch up the sides. We have one more progression before we move on from this stretch/exercise. Same kind of setup, right side pushing in. Now hold the leg in position, grab a hold of your hamstrings, and begin to open up through the knee. Try to get as much opening as possible. If you feel hammies trembling underneath your hands, that's all right. It's all good. You can say, what's shaking? You can say, oh, it's my hamstrings. All right, let's lower this. And then the next progression as we lower, we're going to set up the opposite side again. Knee comes in, giving you a nice little pull and push action. Extend the leg, hands on hamstrings. Let the left hand relax. Keep the right hand on that hamstring and begin to open the leg. So we're trying to keep the pelvic girdle from rocking up. We want a nice square pelvis as we begin to open and feel that inner thigh pull. Let's hold on that. Try to drive the heel out, bring straightness to the legs as you work to lower down a little more if it's possible. And when you're ready, bring it back up, set it back down, switch up sides. Same operation, knee, hamstrings, legs straighten. This time the left hand holds on as the right hand just finds a spot that's comfortable for you. Pelvic girdle remaining square to your mats as that left leg opens up. Enjoy that nice inner thigh. It's work because the leg has weight to it, so those muscles are actually working. We're just helping to guide open with the hand. And then come back to center and bring the other knee up and in. So we have hands on kneecaps, forehead up to meet the knees. I'm going to rock and roll all the way up to a seated position and extend the legs back out, heels to the corners. And we're going to walk it all the way out and let the spine go into flexion. That's primarily the upper spine. As you inhale, extend. Hands are going to walk back in. And now we're going to sweep those legs around and come up onto all fours. Up. And when we arrive there, we're going to have hands, knees and feet onto the edges of the mat with toes tucked under. I'd like you to drift your hips backwards, but keep the spine extended. If you need cushioning for the knees, you can always grab a towel. The elbows, if they're angling outwards, I'd like you to rotate them internally and give me a nice base of hand with fingers separated widely, kind of like a frog type pose. You should feel a nice pull through the base of the foot and a nice pull through the quadriceps, the front leg muscles. And we're going to sweep forward, float the knees up off the earth, pull the hips up and back to down dog. Drive the heels earthward as you walk the hands back towards the feet. Find balance front to back of the foot. Not too heavy to the front, not too heavy to the back, equal to both. Inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Pilates style. Each vertebrae articulating in as we come back up, stacking upon each other, and hands salute the sun. Fill the lungs with air, pull high to the sky, your fingers, arms, shoulders, everything. And as you let the hands descend over heart, take the right foot, step it forward. Nice. Now, let's take the left heel and drop it down. So if we come into like a warrior-like pose here, I'd like you to make sure that the ball of each big toe, left and right, has a presence on your mat. You're pushing it in. Now, angulation of the hips. It's going to have a slight angle off a square. As we hold on that, I'd like you to bring some straightness to that front leg as you keep the ball pushing in. And then once we did before, like we did before, we're going to kind of chop in a little bit. Now, I want you to pay attention to what's happening with that right hip. If it's translating to the side, I'd like you to try to keep it in the same line. I want some muscle-specific activation here. So this is kind of releasing the muscle we want active, I want you to try to keep it square as you chop through the hips. Spine remains long. We fold in, and we're going to hold on this for a couple seconds. Nice. Now, we're going to slowly raise up and slowly lower down. So we're just kind of raising and lowering. It's kind of a modified triangular pose, if you like yoga terms, not the Sanskrit, of course, but nonetheless, here we go. Slowly up, slowly down. As we do this, I'm going to do a quick shout out to primary muscle movers. So right now, the gluteals are one of the primary movers here. And we have hip flexion and hip extension as we raise and lower the body. And we have stabilization because we're not throwing the hip out to the side as we make the movement happen. And the primary movers here are great because when we sit upon our tushy, we're basically compressing the blood flow and nervous system. And this kind of helps to re-energize these muscles and get some blood flow into them, add some strength to the nervous system activation and also the muscle itself. All right, now raise it back up. Come up on the toes of the back foot as you step it forward. Shoot that other foot back. Heel lowers down. Ball of each big toe, actively pushing in, and begin the exercise. Slowly down and slowly up. One of the things to be mindful of is fatigue, and that shows itself in different forms. Try to keep your spine long and hips tracking the same as you did on the opposite side. This is one of these exercises where you can explore the range of motion. You can't get any taller, but you can get lower, but without compromising stabilization here. We want to keep the spinal column stable through the range of motion. Otherwise, we forego the exercise to the muscles we're trying to target right now. So, do your best. On the next repetition, as you raise it up on the toes, step the back foot forward, separate those feet a little wider than hip width apart. Take your toes, angle them internally. Now, I'd like you to bring some straightness to the legs. And I'd like you to try to give me some chopstick action here. Little Asian food action going on. I'd like you to try to keep the legs straight, but pull them into the center line. And keep that active, keep it active. As we keep hands over heart, spine long, knees relatively straight, and begin to descend down and raise back up through the whole range. I'd like you to keep the chopsticking going on as best you can. This may alter the range that you achieved previously, but see if you can kind of get back there as the repetitions continue. As you raise up this time, stand up, feet or toes go straight forward. Take a big breath in, hands push to the sky. Big, big, big inhale. Now, let that left hand descend down onto the hip, plant it on there. Take the right hand up, right across the center line, hold it up, push it up. Nice. Now, take your right hip as you push it to the side, hold it out, keep that arm reaching high. And then if you can, try to let the arm sweep into the air and give me a little bit less, more of a push of the right hip to the side, and then come back up, switch up sides. So this is a lateral or side body stretch. Let the left arm descend in towards the right, left here a little more. If you get it over the right here, that's fabulous. Oh, you're pushing, pulling that arm almost out of its shoulder joint. Come back up. Both hands are on hips. We're going to step that left foot back as we come sideways. Going to bring up feet wider than hip width and as much width as you feel comfortable giving to me right now. Now, important here is feet and the weight bearing.
If you're heavy to the toes, a little forward lean, I'd like you to kind of be back more to the heels. And we're gonna basically chop through the hips, spine long, and as we begin to descend down, I'd like you to bring your hands onto your thighs. I'm gonna hold this tabletop type position. Got some AC, did we? Oh my goodness. I was like Stetson a little bit. Now, as we keep tabletop, I'd like you to bring your right arm and extend it forward. And then I like to drag or draw back to give me as much weight bearing without toppling into the heels. Now, as that right arm reaches forward, I'd like you to proud out the chest, pull that set of fingers forward more, let the shoulder actually slide forward. And then as you exhale, let it descend to the earth. I'm going to bring that left hand onto the left hip. I'm going to take the left elbow and lift it to the sky. And then we're going to take the left shoulder and open it to the sky. Now, if you begin to find that inherent shift forward, be mindful that the weight maintains its heel prominence. And as you open the shoulder, try not to sway or translate hips or shoulders. It's this spinal rotation. And then lower down, take the right arm, reach it forward, come all the way up to standing. Drop it down on that hip. Extend the left hand forward. And we're going to come into this on the opposite side, all the way down. I'm going to get there a little faster this time. Now, raise the arm, reach it forward, draw those hips back, pull, pull, pull with the fingers, proud, proud, proud with the chest. As you release your next breath, fingertips hit the earth, right elbow pulls to the sky, and the right shoulder. As we open, try to lengthen that spinal column and be mindful you haven't drifted forward. Square off the shoulders, sweep that left arm to the sky. As you come back to stand, drop that onto the hips. And once again, we're going to tabletop the back. This time, both hands descend to the earth. Walk forward with the fingers, draw back with the hips. Proud out the chest as you inhale. Keep the chest proud, walk the hands forward a little more. And as you exhale, let the spine flex and just hang out. Float forward and backward on the feet. And then balance the weight in the foot. This time now, I'd like you to re-engage that ball of toe push, left and right side. As you do so, I'd like you to kind of snap the knees backwards. It's not a physical snap. It's just simply a straightening of the legs. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. Take the right hand, sweep it out to the side, open shoulder and arm, and sweep it back down slowly and alternate side to side. Once again, try to avoid translating from side to side. Work the spinal rotation, work the stabilization of the hips, work the balance in the foot, keeping the ball of each big toe pushing into the mat without too much weight bearing to the front or to the back. Let's do a couple more repetitions. This is all great work for your low back. You might feel a little bit of burning going on there. And when you're ready now, hands step back onto the thighs. We're going to unhinge those hips. As we stand tall, step your feet in, shake out those inner thighs. Oh, thank goodness that's all done. All right, I'm going to grab some more water. Going to do some stretching shortly. Kirsten's favorite thing to do.
Yeah. Are we going down?
Cheers to everybody. Are we going down? Let's not get personal, okay? What? Oh, that's a bad joke for Sunday. All right, let's take it down to the mat. Oh, all right. Gonna come all the way down on our backs. Oh, good night.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
All right, so when on our backs, I'd like you to bring the feet flat to the earth with your heels close to your butt, a little wider than the width of your hips. And I'd like you to do some pelvic rocking. So how we do that is you're going to look for the weight, how it feels on your tailbone. So I'd like you to try to take the top part, front of your pelvic girdle, and imagine, excuse me, imagine there's a string pulling both sides of the sky. You can feel the tailbone has weight on it. Now I'm going to ask you to let the strings descend so that pelvic girdle is rocking backwards, and the low back skin has more pronounced distribution of weight. And I'd like you to try to hold that sensation. And if you can't get it, don't worry about it. It's more about the activation of getting there. So if we have that, if you hold on that, and you're going to bring your hands with fingers interlocked, palms together. We're going to take the elbows and rotate them into the center line and take your thumbs and shoot them forward. So we have a rotation through the wrists. Palms are pushing together now. I'd like you to give a push together. And let your chin drop into your chest. And then let the arms kind of descend towards the knees, right in between them, of course, as you crunch up slightly. And then lower back down. So this is a rectus abdominis, serratus, which is the muscles over the ribs type of exercise. As we raise and lower the body, it's vertebrae by vertebrae. We've isolated the use of the arms, so a lot of those muscles that enable you to get spinal flexion have to be more active. And there's very little or no momentum imparted with the arms. Keep the arms pushing together as best you can. Let's do one more repetition. When you do it, hold it up, hollow out the belly, pull it into the spine. Keep that neck tension free. Lower it back down. Extend the legs all the way out. Feel that nice release through your hip flexors. And we're going to keep the heels in flexion as we pull the tops of the feet in towards the shins. Take the calves and push them into the mats. And that gluteal activation, I'd like you to hold on that as you hollow out the belly. I'd like you to give me a nice proud chest. Let the arms descend beside the body, but take your fingers and kind of make a cup with them. So like you're holding a grapefruit in each hand. The fingertips touch the earth. Chest is proud. Belly is hollowed out. You might feel the low back skin off the mat, and hopefully you feel your gluteals ballooned up a little bit, nice and active. I'm going to hold on that as we slide each heel just about an inch or two in. I'm going to keep the feet flexing. That's the top pulling into the shins as we rotate internally to make the thighs hopefully touch, and if they don't, that's fine. It's more about the internal rotation. I'd like you to bring the thighs and squeeze them together if you can. And that activation, I'd like you to hold on that. Push your fingertips, keep the chest proud, hollow out the belly, and begin to try to raise your butt up off the mat. But most importantly, if you can't do that, please do not forgo the squeezing of the thighs. This is what this is all about. We've just done all the other stuff so we can focus or provide an emphasis on those inner thigh muscles. So hold that for a couple more breaths as you try to push the heels, squeeze those thighs harder, and then relax. Point the toes, extend the hands all the way back. So these are for your inner thigh muscles. You might know when you sit or notice that your legs like to splay open. So this is a corrected exercise to help strengthen those muscles, make them a little more active in your posture, when you're moving and standing. Let's do this one more time. Let the arms descend back down. Same setup. Heels slide, feet flex, rotate them together, squeeze them together, push the fingertips to the earth, keep those elbows rotating towards the earth, arms are nice and straight. As the belly hollows, squeeze those thighs a little more,
Begin to try to lift that butt of yours up off the mat by pushing the heels into the mat. But please squeeze thighs harder. Give me one more breath. Relax it down. Extend toes and fingers opposite direction. Pull along the body. Feel that nice lengthening of the whole body. All right, let's pull the knees up and into the chest. Bring that forehead up to meet the knees. Rock and roll up to a seated position. We're going to extend this back out to a nice stretch just before we sign it off today. We're going to walk our hands so we separated the feet nice and wide, and we walk forward and let the upper back flex. Let it just hang out. We worked a lot of the muscles through our torso today. Building strength of muscles that sit and are dormant takes a long time. It helps to improve stability of our spinal column and provide us a much healthier movement with less pain, hopefully. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. Walk the hands back in. I'm going to bring my legs to crossover. And bring my hands over heart to thank everyone for joining us today. Namaste.
Namaste.
Nama didn't stay in bed.
The girls are partying up in sync, so